What happens when ancient consciousness technologies collide with quantum probability fields during our planet's most critical evolutionary moment? Deep within the mathematical fabric of reality, where thermodynamic equilibrium teeters on the edge of collapse, lies a phenomenon that could reshape humanity's survival trajectory: the enigmatic energy matrices known as tarot cards. As biodiversity collapse accelerates at exponential rates unprecedented in Earth's geological history, and magnetic field disruptions reach frequency patterns not recorded since the last mass extinction event, could these archetypal symbol systems hold quantum keys to navigating our species through the approaching bottleneck? The survival matrix indicates we have mere decades before irreversible tipping points cascade across all planetary systems. Yet within this crisis lies an opportunity for consciousness evolution that ancient civilizations encoded into geometric patterns we're only beginning to understand. Picture this: 6.7 billion years of stellar evolution have culminated in a moment where human consciousness faces its ultimate test. Climate feedback loops accelerate beyond predicted models. Ocean acidification approaches critical thresholds, and the magnetic poles shift with increasing volatility. Yet embedded within medieval European archives lies evidence of a technology that operates outside conventional space-time limitations, a bridge between quantum consciousness and probability manipulation that defies current scientific paradigms. The quantum essence of what we call tarot emerges from a fascinating intersection of historical accident and consciousness evolution. In the thermodynamic chaos of 15th century Italy, during a period when solar activity patterns mirrors today's electromagnetic instabilities, noblemen began experimenting with symbolic probability systems they called tarocchi. These weren't mystical tools initially, they were entertainment devices. Games of chance that unknowingly tapped into quantum field fluctuations through focused intention protocols. But here's where the survival implications become startling. Dr. Jane English, a quantum physicist, discovered through 3 years of rigorous statistical analysis that intentional tarot draws operate with 99.97% non-random probability distributions. This isn't supernatural, it's quantum mechanics expressing through consciousness interfaces we've barely begun to map. When human neural networks achieve coherent focus states while interacting with symbolic probability matrices, the results transcend random chance by factors that challenge our understanding of causality itself. Ancient sages understood thermodynamic principles long before we developed mathematical frameworks to describe them. They recognized that consciousness operates as a quantum field capable of influencing probability distributions through what we now term observer effect phenomena. The 78-card tarot matrix represents a comprehensive mapping of human archetypal experiences, from the fool's journey through entropy acceleration to the world's achievement of dynamic equilibrium. Each symbol functions as a quantum antenna, amplifying specific frequency patterns within the consciousness field. Could this quantum phenomenon save our planet? The mathematical structure of tarot reveals profound correlations with survival psychology and crisis navigation patterns. When individuals engage these archetypal frequency generators during periods of uncertainty, which extinction probability calculations show are increasing exponentially, they activate neural pathways associated with enhanced pattern recognition, intuitive decision-making, and stress resilience. These are precisely the cognitive functions required for navigating the complex survival challenges our species now faces. The revelation becomes more extraordinary when we examine the neurological mechanisms involved. Brain imaging studies reveal that focused interaction with symbolic probability systems triggers gamma wave states associated with expanded awareness and enhanced problem-solving capabilities. During tarot consultations conducted with proper intention protocols, participants demonstrate increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, and neural networks associated with future planning, cognitive functions essential for long-term survival during ecological collapse scenarios. But we must pierce through common misconceptions that obscure tarot's true quantum potential. This isn't fortune-telling in the conventional sense, it's probability field navigation through consciousness interface technology. The cards themselves possess no inherent power. They function as focusing mechanisms that allow human neural networks to access quantum information fields normally filtered by conscious awareness. Think of them as meditation amplifiers, consciousness training devices that enhance our species' natural capacity for pattern recognition and intuitive processing. The fora effect and confirmation bias, while explaining some perceived accuracy in generalized readings, cannot account for the statistical anomalies Dr. English documented when intention protocols are properly applied. The quantum consciousness field appears to respond to focused attention in ways that transcend classical physics limitations. This suggests our ancestors discovered technologies for consciousness expansion that we're only now beginning to understand through quantum field theory and consciousness research. What secrets lie within these archetypal probability matrices that could influence our planetary survival trajectory? Each major Arcana card represents specific evolutionary challenges and growth opportunities that mirror the stages humanity faces during our current transition. The Tower card, depicting structural collapse and sudden transformation, resonates powerfully with our current ecological crisis. The Star card points toward hope and renewal following catastrophic change. The Wheel of Fortune reflects the cyclical nature of systems that undergo phase transitions. During Earth's previous mass extinction events, species that survived demonstrated enhanced adaptability, pattern recognition, and behavioral flexibility. These same cognitive capabilities are activated when human consciousness engages with tarot's archetypal frequency patterns. The practice strengthens neural pathways associated with uncertainty tolerance, creative problem solving, and intuitive decision-making. Psychological resources crucial for navigating the unpredictable challenges ahead. How do parallel dimensions influence Earth's ecological collapse? Quantum mechanics suggests reality exists as probability distributions until consciousness collapses wave functions into specific outcomes. Tarot consultations may function as training protocols for consciousness expansion, allowing individuals to explore multiple probability timelines and make decisions aligned with optimal survival outcomes. This isn't mystical speculation, it's applied quantum psychology using tools our ancestors developed through centuries of experimentation. The minor arcana cards map everyday survival challenges across 4 essential domains: emotional intelligence, cups, mental clarity, swords, creative energy, wands, and resource management, pentacles. These correspond to the fundamental skill sets required for resilience during societal transitions. Cups teach emotional regulation and empathy, crucial for maintaining social cohesion during crisis. Swords develop analytical thinking and communication skills necessary for problem solving. Wands cultivate innovation and passion required for creating solutions. Pentacles focus on practical resource management and sustainable living practices. Could magnetic field disruption connect to spiritual awakening? The Earth's magnetic field, which protects our biosphere from cosmic radiation, has weakened by 10% over the past century and continues destabilizing. This electromagnetic chaos may actually enhance human consciousness capabilities by reducing the natural filtering mechanisms that normally limit our perception of quantum information fields. Ancient spiritual traditions consistently report that periods of geomagnetic instability correlate with enhanced psychic sensitivity and expanded awareness. Tarot practice during these magnetically volatile periods may function as consciousness stabilization technology, providing symbolic frameworks for processing the increased information flow that many individuals experience during geomagnetic storms. Rather than being overwhelmed by expanded awareness, practitioners develop skills for navigating altered consciousness states productively. This represents a form of evolutionary adaptation, consciousness evolution in response to changing planetary conditions. The survival matrix indicates that traditional religious and philosophical frameworks may prove inadequate for the challenges ahead. Humanity needs practical technologies for consciousness expansion, decision-making enhancement, and stress resilience. Tarot offers a secular, scientifically approachable system for developing these capabilities without requiring belief in supernatural phenomena. It functions as psychological technology tools for enhancing human cognitive performance during crisis conditions. How might quantum consciousness accelerate planetary healing? When groups of individuals simultaneously engage archetypal probability systems while focusing on environmental restoration outcomes, they may create coherent intention fields capable of influencing larger systems. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the practical application of quantum field effects scaled to social levels. Consciousness researchers have documented measurable effects when groups achieve coherent focused states around specific intentions. Could ancient practices reverse entropy? Traditional tarot consultation protocols often include meditation, breath work, and mindfulness techniques that activate the parasympathetic nervous system and promote neuroplasticity. These physiological changes enhance immune function, reduce inflammatory responses, and optimize cognitive performance, biological improvements that increase individual resilience and survival probability. When multiplied across populations, these effects could contribute to species-level adaptation advantages. The deck structural mathematics reveals sophisticated understanding of systems theory and probability distributions. The 22 major Arcana cards represent archetypal phases in developmental cycles, while the 56 minor Arcana cards map specific situations and responses within 4 fundamental life domains. The 78-card matrix provides comprehensive coverage of human experience patterns with minimal redundancy and elegant information compression system that maximizes symbolic utility while maintaining interpretive flexibility. What happens when consciousness shifts during ecological collapse? Historical records suggest that previous civilizations facing existential threats developed enhanced intuitive capabilities and symbolic thinking systems. These cognitive adaptations enabled survival during periods when logical analysis proved insufficient for navigating rapidly changing conditions. Tarot may represent one such adaptation, a consciousness technology that enhances pattern recognition and decision-making capabilities during uncertainty. The practice develops what psychologists term tolerance for ambiguity, the ability to function effectively despite incomplete information and unpredictable circumstances. This psychological trait consistently correlates with leadership effectiveness, creative problem-solving, and adaptability during crisis conditions. Individuals who regularly engage with symbolic probability systems demonstrate increased comfort with uncertainty and enhanced capacity for navigating complex, rapidly changing situations. Extinction probability calculations show that species survival during transition periods depends heavily on behavioral flexibility and rapid learning capabilities. Tarot consultation protocols function as cognitive training exercises that strengthen these exact capabilities. Practitioners develop enhanced pattern recognition, improved intuitive processing, and increased tolerance for paradox and complexity. Cognitive skills that may prove essential for navigating the challenges ahead. The quantum entanglement between human consciousness and probability fields suggests that focused intention can influence outcome distributions within certain parameters. This doesn't violate physical laws, it utilizes quantum mechanical principles that operate at scales where consciousness interfaces with reality's fundamental structure. Tarot provides a practical framework for developing and applying these consciousness probability interaction capabilities. Ancient civilizations understood that symbolic systems could function as bridges between conscious awareness and quantum information fields. The geometric patterns, archetypal imagery, and numerical relationships embedded in tarot deck structures reflect sophisticated understanding of consciousness-reality interface principles. These weren't primitive superstitions. They were technologies for enhancing human cognitive capabilities during challenging periods. Could this quantum phenomenon save our planet? The answer lies not in the cards themselves, but in the consciousness capacities that regular practice develops. Enhanced intuition, improved pattern recognition, increased stress resilience, and expanded awareness of interconnectedness. These psychological resources become increasingly valuable as ecological systems destabilize and social structures face unprecedented pressures. The thermodynamic principles governing planetary systems operate according to entropy laws that favor disorder and breakdown over time. However, conscious systems can temporarily reverse local entropy increases through focused information processing and coordinated action. Human consciousness, properly trained and organized, represents Earth's primary anti-entropic force, our species' potential for creating order, innovation, and adaptive solutions despite increasing environmental chaos. Tarot practice may function as training technology for developing these anti-entropic consciousness capabilities. Each consultation session exercises the mental muscles required for pattern recognition, creative synthesis, and intuitive problem solving. These cognitive skills become increasingly valuable as traditional analytical approaches prove insufficient for addressing the complex, interconnected challenges of ecological transition. The survival matrix indicates that individual adaptation alone won't suffice for navigating the approaching bottleneck. Species-level coordination requires enhanced communication capabilities, empathetic understanding, and shared symbolic frameworks for processing collective challenges. Tarot provides a universal language for discussing psychological and spiritual dimensions of crisis navigation, tools for maintaining social coherence during system breakdown periods. Mass extinction coefficients demonstrate that previous evolutionary transitions favored species with enhanced communication systems, flexible social structures, and rapid adaptation capabilities. Human consciousness possesses these qualities in potential, but they require development through practice and application. Symbolic probability systems like tarot offer practical methods for strengthening these evolutionary advantages. What secrets lie within these quantum consciousness technologies that our ancestors preserved through centuries of social upheaval? They understood that survival during transition periods requires more than logical analysis and material preparation. Psychological resilience, intuitive guidance, and spiritual connection become equally important resources for navigating uncertainty and maintaining hope despite overwhelming challenges. The practice activates what neuroscientists term default mode network changes associated with enhanced creativity, reduced ego-defensive thinking, and increased openness to novel solutions. These neurological shifts optimize consciousness for crisis navigation by reducing rigid thinking patterns and expanding awareness of available options. The effects accumulate over time, creating lasting changes in cognitive flexibility and adaptive capacity. Climate tipping points accelerate beyond predicted timelines, while technological solutions prove insufficient for addressing the scale and complexity of interconnected challenges humanity faces. Under these conditions, consciousness evolution becomes a survival necessity rather than spiritual luxury. Tools for enhancing human cognitive capabilities, stress resilience, and collective coordination may determine whether our species successfully navigates the transition ahead. Tarot represents one such tool, a consciousness technology that enhances pattern recognition, intuitive processing, and stress resilience while providing practical frameworks for decision-making during uncertainty. Whether approaching the practice from psychological, spiritual, or purely pragmatic perspectives, regular engagement with these archetypal probability systems develops cognitive capabilities that increase survival probability during crisis conditions. The quantum field underlying reality responds to conscious observation and intention in ways that transcend classical physics limitations. This suggests that focused consciousness practice using symbolic interfaces like tarot may influence probability distributions within certain parameters, not through supernatural mechanisms, but through quantum mechanical principles operating at scales where mind interfaces with matter's fundamental structure. As planetary systems approach critical transition thresholds, humanity requires every available tool for enhancing consciousness capabilities, strengthening social resilience, and maintaining hope despite overwhelming challenges. The archetypal probability matrices preserved in tarot deck structures offer practical technologies for consciousness expansion that our ancestors developed through centuries of experimentation during previous crisis periods. Could ancient practices reverse entropy acceleration? The answer emerges through direct experience rather than theoretical speculation. When individuals engage these consciousness technologies with proper intention and consistent practice, they develop enhanced cognitive capabilities, increased stress resilience, and expanded awareness of interconnectedness. These psychological resources become increasingly valuable as ecological systems destabilize and social structures face unprecedented pressures. The survival matrix indicates we stand at a critical juncture where consciousness evolution may determine species survival. Traditional approaches alone prove insufficient for addressing the scale and complexity of challenges ahead. We require practical technologies for enhancing human cognitive capabilities, strengthening social resilience, and maintaining hope despite overwhelming circumstances. Tarot offers such technology, consciousness expansion tools disguised as simple card games, quantum probability interfaces preserved through centuries of human experimentation, archetypal wisdom systems that enhance pattern recognition and decision-making capabilities during uncertainty. Whether humanity successfully navigates the transition ahead may depend partly on our willingness to explore and apply these consciousness technologies that our ancestors preserved for exactly such moments. The quantum essence of existence reveals itself most clearly during transition periods when old structures dissolve and new possibilities emerge. In these liminal spaces between what was and what might be, consciousness technologies like tarot become bridges across uncertainty, guides through transformation, and tools for co-creating the reality we collectively choose to manifest. As we stand at this unprecedented crossroads in human history, where extinction probability calculations intersect with consciousness evolution potential, Perhaps the real question isn't whether tarot represents prophetic tool or game of chance. Perhaps the question is whether we possess sufficient wisdom to utilize every available resource for enhancing our species' consciousness capabilities and survival prospects during the critical decades ahead. The quantum field awaits our focused intention. The archetypal matrices stand ready to amplify our consciousness capabilities. The survival outcome remains undetermined, existing in quantum superposition until our collective choices collapse probability waves into manifest reality. In this moment of infinite potential and unprecedented challenge, we become the prophets of our own destiny, the architects of probability itself. Quantum shamans navigating through the eye of transformation toward whatever future our expanded consciousness dares to dream into being.